Welcome to the Mavens of Marketing, a weekly podcast hosted by me, Rachel Durkin.
And me, Carrie Barrett. We talk all things marketing, innovation, sales, and business growth strategies, and the standard tried and true marketing techniques.
Come for the conversation, stay for the savvy insights.
And the borderline inappropriate jokes. Welcome to this episode of the Mavens of Marketing. I'm your co-host, Carrie Barrett, along with the fabulous Rachel Durkin. How are you?
Welcome, everyone. I'm fantastic. How are you, Carrie?
I am super excited about this week's episode. You know, one of the things that I struggled with when I first started my business 2 years ago, which is when I first started my LinkedIn account and even really knew what the heck LinkedIn was how do I make my profile stand out? How do I use it to generate leads? How do I make sure that it's doing everything that I need it to do? And I know that a lot of other business owners and entrepreneurs have the very same question, especially with the way LinkedIn is growing. So our guest today, Joe Apfelbaum. I got it right? Yes, Joe?
You got it right. You hit the nail on the head.
Well, there's plenty of time for it to go all downhill, but I'm excited to talk to him because that's his area of expertise. Joe, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you, Carrie. My name is Joe Apfelbaum. I'm the CEO of Ajax Union. 12 years ago, I started a company, digital marketing agency. Fortunately, we're able to grow every single year, and we were featured on the Inc. 500 as one of the fastest growing companies in the US. And along the way, many people have asked me, Joe, how do you pick up clients? What do you do? And what worked a decade ago plus doesn't necessarily work so well today. Cold calls used to be like all the rage. You used to be able to send emails and people would actually open it and reply. And all that has changed. So what am I doing right now? How am I growing my business? And one of the things that we've developed over the past year and a half, 2 years, is understanding how to use LinkedIn. I've been teaching people how to use LinkedIn for the past decade, and LinkedIn has changed. Microsoft paid $26.2 billion for LinkedIn a few years ago, and LinkedIn keeps growing. I was looking at a presentation I did over 10 years ago on LinkedIn. At that point, there were 65 million members on LinkedIn, and now there are 740 million members, and their goal is to get it to 3 billion members. This is the largest professional social network in the world. It's not Facebook, not Instagram, not TikTok, not Snapchat. This is LinkedIn, the place where people come for inspiration, for networking, and yes, for doing business, generating revenue. So when people are wondering, what is a social platform where people have the mindset that they're open to networking, they're open to referrals, they're open to driving business, LinkedIn is the number one platform, and the organic reach on LinkedIn is through the roof. So I love reverse engineering. I love teaching, and hopefully I'll be able to answer some of your questions to show people the step-by-step process to go from a lurker to an influencer to be able to change their life on LinkedIn.
So my first question, what's the step-by-step process to go from a lurker to an influencer?
Well, what is a lurker and an influencer? Yeah. Maybe define them for us first.
Yeah. So I'll answer both questions. So number one is, what is a lurker? A lurker is a person who watches.
Yeah.
A person who likes to lurk, to look. Usually they're in the dark because we don't know who they are. And they're kind of just like, you post something and they're watching. They're not liking, they're not commenting, they're not engaging. They're not letting you know that they watched, but they are paying attention. They're lurking. They're not just kind of like passively just there. They are watching. And on LinkedIn, a lot of people are kind of afraid of judgment because in a professional setting, what if my comment comes across the wrong way? What if my boss sees my comment? What if my employees see my comment or whatever it is? And so what you want to do is realize that people are watching, and most people are afraid of public speaking. I think it was Jerry Seinfeld that said that people would rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy. And this applies to networking. This applies to public speaking and all that. So people are lurkers. So what is the step-by-step process to be able to go from a lurker to an influencer? And in our course that we've developed called Evergreen Networking, we walk people through the 3-step process. And first, the foundation is you need to be able to understand who you are. What is your brand? So we call it Brandon. You got to first figure out what are your goals, who's your target market, and what is your messaging. If you can't write your strategy on the back of a napkin, it's too complicated. So we walk people through how to be able to get this strategy down. If I ask people, do you have a written strategy for LinkedIn? They say, I don't have a written one. I'm not even sure what to do. I go in there, I just add connections. I said, stop hoarding connections on LinkedIn. Instead, connect with your target market with the right messaging, know what your business goal is, what your marketing goals are, and then you can set your LinkedIn goals. And that's the foundation. That's Brandon. The second step is making sure that you are prepared. The reason why people have procrastination is because they're missing preparation. The more preparation you have, the less you're going to procrastinate and the more clarity you're going to have. And with clarity comes motivation. People think, oh, I don't even know what to write about. Well, your story is unique. So we tell people, come up with your stories. What are the questions people ask you? And we have a whole framework that works out your content map to get everything out of your head. Because I always say, if you're in your head, you're dead. So you got to get everything out of your head, jump out of bed, get excited about getting your information, your story out there. Then, of course, you need your profile. Your profile is the center of everything because people come to your profile to get to know who you are. There's your identity. There's your summary. There's your history. There's your social proof. There are different areas of your profile that you have to optimize for you to get results. And under-optimized profiles get 10 times less views than profiles that are optimized. And believe it or not, when people search for you on Google, usually your profile comes up in the first few results of Google. So making sure that your profile is optimized, and it includes who your target market is and all this other stuff, is really, really beneficial. And then the third component of preparation of making sure that you're building yourself out is understanding how you have an ROI, is using dashboards. So some of the dashboards that we give our students are content calendars, asset libraries, connections dashboards, activity dashboards, and teaching you how to have systems and processes to be successful. I always say micromanage the process, not the people, because then you want to make sure that you have good systems and processes if you want to scale and generate revenue. And then once you have that, then there are really three things that you need from LinkedIn. There are really three things that you need to be successful. The three actions are: you need exposure, you need credibility, and then you need conversations, because nothing happens without conversation. So I'll say this again: you need exposure, you need credibility, and you need conversation. So how do you get exposure on LinkedIn? Some people just show up and throw up. I say, instead of showing up and throwing up, add value, follow up. So many people are just not posting on LinkedIn. Here, let me give you a statistic. There are 740 million people on LinkedIn. 40% are logging in every day. That means most people are not even logging into LinkedIn every day, but there's millions, hundreds of millions that are logging in every single day. Now, out of those, how many posts do you think even go up on LinkedIn? Can you guys give a guess? Some people think maybe tens of millions a day. I don't know. But the truth is only 1 million posts go up a day. Just 1 million posts.
So most people are watching, but not adding anything to it.
Most are lurkers. So how do you become an influencer? Is post. Most people are just not even posting anything. So to get exposure, you have to put yourself out there. So I always tell people there are 6 different ways to post, that the algorithm will actually pick up your posts. And there are many different things that you can do to be successful. But the first step is actually put yourself out there. There are 1 million posts going up every single day, but there are 740 million people on LinkedIn. And by the way, most of the posts on LinkedIn are coming from me, because nobody else is doing it. I might as well be doing it. No, I'm kidding. But the point is, I've posted, I don't know, in the past several years, maybe 5,000 times, and I've had millions and millions and millions of people that have seen my stuff, and I've generated millions of dollars for my marketing agency as a result of LinkedIn. And that's why we kind of came up with this framework to teach people how to go through the processes that they need in order for them to go from a lurker to an influencer in just 15 minutes a day. So this doesn't need to take your whole life. This can just take 15 minutes a day.
Okay. So I have 2 questions, and they they probably have longish answers. My first question is, right, what sort of content should you be posting? What are you finding gets the most traction? And number 2, I'm backtracking a little bit, but you talked about the importance of optimizing your profile. What does that mean? In order to optimize, what do we need to do and make sure, we have this box checked and that box checked, and now we make sure that our profile is exactly where it needs to be?
Absolutely. And I'm going to keep it really short for the sake of the interview. But of course, we have modules and frameworks and checklists and cheat sheets and dashboards and everything that you need inside our course, because, I'm not going to be able to answer this question in 2 seconds, but I'm going to get through kind of like what you basically need. For your LinkedIn profile. I'm going to do the profile, then I'm going to talk about the content first, because the profile is more of like a foundation and content's more of like the actions that you take. So from a foundational standpoint, your photo is really important. Some people put a logo of their photo on LinkedIn, and nobody wants to network with a logo. That's not what people want. And also people don't want you to make a frowny face or a selfie with you just, looking away or whatever, or a wedding picture where you cut off your ex and you just put your face over there.
It's
or
shocking.
you're like
That's everywhere.
Person you're still married to, you cut out of the picture.
Exactly. So you want to make sure you have a professional headshot. So making sure your identity is really good. Your name is spelled correctly. You don't have everything in upper caps or whatever. You want to make sure that you have the right headline. Most people just write entrepreneur or CEO or account executive or insurance or whatever in their headline. And you have room for many more characters that you can actually describe who your target market is and how you help them and what they do. If you go to my profile, joelinkedin.com, when you get a chance, I actually bought a domain name that sends you right to my profile so I can say it during events. And some people have a hard time spelling my last name. So I just say, go to joelinkedin.com and you'll get to my profile. You'll be able to see my headline. And you'll be able to see many of our students' headlines also in the testimonials on my profile, on my recommendations. I have over 300 people that have written testimonials for people that have, gone through our course. And, my goal is for people to learn how to get more exposure. I'm going to give you one hot tip. When people are searching on LinkedIn, maybe they're searching for a plumber and you happen to be a plumber. If your profile doesn't have those keywords, you're not going to come up on LinkedIn. Some people search Clubhouse moderator on LinkedIn and they say, Joe, you come up number 1 for Clubhouse moderator. Wow. How'd you do that? I said, I literally added it to my profile. And they're like, why didn't I think of that? It's because you're not an SEO person. You're not a hacker. You're not thinking of ways to get more exposure. So you rely on me to come up with the ideas. Now, there are many different factors of what you can do to improve your profile. For example, if you don't have at least 3 LinkedIn recommendations, and most people don't have any LinkedIn recommendations, if you don't have at least 3, LinkedIn's not going to rank you in the algorithm when it's searching because it's be like, this person's not a credible person. They don't even have an updated profile. I'm not going to rank them to be on the first page of the search results when people are searching for things for people on LinkedIn. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you go through the different, the checklist of things that you need: your photo, your background photo, your headline, your summary, your history, your social proof, your endorsements. And I can walk you through all the different things that you need to do. And of course, we have like a short 15-minute video that we walk you through everything inside the course. And we even give you a checklist on how to do that. Let's turn to the content part. The content part is really, really important because sometimes you post something and nothing happens, cricket. So, and also people are afraid that maybe what they're posting doesn't have value and they don't want to look like a total idiot. Like, right? You don't want to look like a fool posting something to your whole professional network. And everyone's like, really, this person's just vying for attention. Is that what they need right now?
I think that's what people get tripped up. They get really scared.
So the question is, what are some things that you can do? Now, most people are posting information and information's great. But the truth is, are you coming to LinkedIn for information, or are you looking for inspiration? So instead of experiencing perspiration, what you can do is you can look back at what are your stories? What are the stories that you have as an individual? Like when I was 17 years old, I was crying to my mother, and I wrote this on LinkedIn as a story. I was crying. I said, Ma, you sent me to school to be a rabbi. I don't want to be a rabbi. I want to be in business. I want to make money, and I have no idea how to do that. So she gave me a big hug and she said, get in the car, let's go. And I was like, where are we going? She drove to the Brooklyn Public Library. She parked outside and she said, go in there, go get the books for free that you need to learn about computers, about business, about anything that you need, because formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. And I get the chills just even thinking about that, because everything that I learned to grow a multi-million-dollar business, I learned from books, from mentors, from coaches, from courses. That's where I got my information, not from going to college, not from school. I'm not saying college is bad,
right?
But I have some employees that work for me that are $250,000 in debt and they don't really have a way out.
Right.
And so thinking about if you want a result in your life, you have the ability to find the answers yourself. And this is just, again, this is an example of a piece of content. I put a picture of me on Fox Business News. And I just showed, here's a picture of me. This is how I made it. I didn't know anything, and you can do it too. And that went viral. People absolutely gobbled that up. And they also got to know me, my personality. I talk about how I became a certified Google trainer. I talk about why I even came up with a LinkedIn course. I talk about my business. I talk about an employee that I had to fire or whatever. There's like so many stories. Yeah. And so that's what people want to hear. People want to hear your story. And, you know, the imposter syndrome inside us will start saying, well, who am I to share my story? Who am I to be unique? And I think there was a person, I think her name is Marianne or something. She came up with a thing like, who am I? Marianne Williamson. I don't know if you ever heard her quote, but she has a very, very famous quote. And it goes something like this. Our greatest fear is that we are inadequate or something like that, right? Like what, do you guys know what I'm talking about? There's like a famous. I can't remember
the quote exactly, but I have heard it. Yes.
I think it's something like this. I'm going to take a stab at it. Our deepest fear is that we are is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God, and playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. You are meant to shine like children do. And I have 5 kids. We're born to make manifest the glory of God that's within us. And it's not in just some of us. It's in all of us. It's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, as we get motivated, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same thing. And as we liberate ourselves from our own fear and our own insecurities, our presence, our emotion, our light, our love frees other people as well. And I didn't say it exactly or whatever, but that's the idea.
That's what we want to put, that sort of stuff. That's what draws people in.
Yeah.
Joe, a lot of what you're talking about, at least from what I'm hearing, is relating to individual profiles on LinkedIn. But I think maybe you won't agree. I feel that LinkedIn's also a really powerful tool for companies to use if they use it successfully. And so is there a translation or a relationship between what you're talking about for the individual profile and how company leaders can use these strategies to raise rising tides and support their employees and their company brand themselves?
100%. When it comes to LinkedIn, there are personal profiles and then there are company profiles. Personal profiles are what gets really the exposure on LinkedIn. Company profiles don't really get a lot of exposure, but company profiles are important. There are over 30 million companies on LinkedIn, company profiles on LinkedIn. And if you take a look at the different company profiles that are on LinkedIn, most company profiles are not updated. They're not branded properly. They're just, you click on them and there's nothing there. And then the companies that are really taking care of it are the ones that are looking for followers. They're actually updating. But the truth is, if you go through the feed, you're not going to see many company profiles on there. It's because a lot of people aren't following a lot of companies, and so it doesn't come up on the feed. So you're not going to get a lot of exposure when you post on your company page. And you, as your personal brand, you will be promoting your company by talking about your experience and the lessons that you learn. And they could be the lessons that you learn in your business. So a business leader can use their own personal platform to promote their company. And of course, you can tell people to promote your page and so on like that. But the key with pages, the key with company pages is to use advertising. And LinkedIn advertising is extremely powerful because you can target people based on who they are. Yeah. And that is very, very powerful. You can get leads for like $3 a lead. These are really high qualified CEOs or directors of sales or directors of marketing or CMOs or directors of human resources or coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, authors, leaders, business owners, procurement, whatever area you need to target in a business. You can run an ad with a minimal budget from a company page. You can't run it from a profile. So company pages have their purpose, and using it correctly, you can benefit tremendously. But understanding that if you want the organic reach, you have to use your profile. Getting 30,000 followers on LinkedIn is not rocket science. I have over 30,000 followers. It's not rocket science. On Instagram, that's rocket science. Doing it on Instagram with a real following is hard to do. And that's why influencers get paid so much. Same thing with YouTube. If you want to get a lot of subscribers, it's not an easy thing to do. You can buy subscribers, but if you want to get real subscribers with engagement, it's hard. On LinkedIn, it's easy. On LinkedIn, it's easy because every connection becomes a subscriber automatically. Now, pages can't add connections, but profiles can. So using profiles correctly will help you be able to get the edge over the competition. And then what you can do, listen to this, you can take the followers from LinkedIn and transfer them to Instagram. You can take the followers for LinkedIn because you get all their email addresses. You're able to transfer them to Facebook and run ads to those people specific. This is like mind-boggling, the amount of traction that you can have and the results and the ROI that you can have by targeting the right people that are on LinkedIn, but also off LinkedIn. Very powerful.
Well, to me, it's a really powerful tool, especially like Sales Navigator and some of the other tools they have. It's a really powerful prospecting tool. It might not, and it's funny because I feel like there's all these different strategies now to like acquire leads on LinkedIn, and I'm sure a lot of them work. But in my world, I feel like, I always talk about the 9 to 13 touches where you have to engage your audience in different ways. And what you're saying makes a ton of sense because we want to take people out of LinkedIn and engage with them in other ways also, whether that's email or a meeting or an ad or Facebook or Instagram or whatever it might be, right?
Or Telegram.
Or Telegram.
Oh yeah. Telegram's the new app that explodes 30 seconds after you read it.
Yeah.
I suppose it's not so new anymore.
It's not so new. Yeah.
What about
Telegram's
carrier
powerful.
pigeon? Does that work?
Yeah, well, Telegram works really well, but also WhatsApp. I don't know if you guys know this, but WhatsApp has been incredible for my business. So using LinkedIn in conjunction with all those platforms, with Clubhouse, is very, very powerful. So understanding how to leverage your connections, understanding how to move the audience from one place to another is very, very powerful. I do webinars, right? Webinars are very, very good. And I get people from LinkedIn onto the webinar. And then from the webinar, I bring them into my sales funnel, and then I convert them into customers. And then I take them to all different places. I even use LinkedIn in conjunction with my Google Calendar. And people are like, whoa, what does that even mean? So there's a lot of different strategies for you to be able to leverage, but it really begins like, where are your people? Where are they? And typically, if you're in a B2B business and you are working with professionals, with people that are millionaires, LinkedIn has more millionaires than any other platform. LinkedIn is the place to be, but learning the right strategy is the key, because the right strategy will save you a decade. A lot of people are using energy. They're doing things, but energy without strategy is a waste of time.
Right.
Well, that's a really good point. I hate the concept of throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what's going to stick, because nothing is going to stick, especially if you're like me and a terrible cook. So I can't even make sense. But, if you have a strategic plan around how you're going to use LinkedIn as part of that touch process, it can be one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal, right?
Yeah. And especially if you're looking for new clients, especially if you're looking for good clients, the best clients come from referrals. And you mentioned prospecting. I wrote a book called High Energy Marketing. And in the book, I talk about the difference between networking, prospecting, and networking and prospecting. And what's the difference between networking, prospecting, and marketing? What's the difference? So prospecting is where you're looking for a prospect. You're looking for a sale. You're looking for someone who could prospectively do business with you. Networking is on the other spectrum of that. You're not looking for someone to do business with you. You're looking for a center of influence. And those center of influence will refer business to you. Did you know that 80% of referrals turn into meetings? Like if you get referred, 80% of the time it'll turn into a meeting, but only 11% of people know how to ask for referrals on LinkedIn, off LinkedIn, just salespeople. And what you said before about touches is really important. Specifically on LinkedIn, you have the ability to touch people many times. I don't want to go viral. Here's my strategy. I don't want to go viral. I want 1,000 people to see me 1,000 times a year. I'll say this again. If you are following me on LinkedIn, chances are you'll see me 3 times a day, because I'm posting, engaging, and messaging and doing lots of activities on LinkedIn. And I'm not spending my whole day there. I do over 100 podcasts like this a year. So my goal is not to go viral. I don't need millions of people to know who I am. I actually went to Lowe's the other day and I'm walking in and one of the people see me there. One of the workers at Lowe's, he sees me. He's like, "Oh, Joe, let's do a selfie." And I'm like, "What's going on over here? Like, how do you even know me?" He's like, "What do you mean? I follow you on LinkedIn." So the worker at Lowe's, he's like, I have a
love it.
side hustle. I'm a coach and this and that, but I do this because I love Lowe's and I love working at Lowe's.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. There's a guy that works at Lowe's. Like, who would have thought, that follows me
Right.
on LinkedIn and wants to do a selfie with me? So, but I don't want to go viral. I don't want to get noticed everywhere I go. I want my privacy. I want my life. I want to be able to go on vacation and people don't know who I am. But I want the right people to know who I am. And I want them to remember me when it's time for them to hire a marketing agency or to get trained on how to use LinkedIn or Clubhouse or whatever it is they need training for. That's when I want people to remember me. And that's where I get a lot of referrals, a lot of introductions. I also make 1,000 introductions a year. Someone recently said, Joe, networking doesn't work. And I said, how many introductions did you make a year? They're like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 a year, but I'm waiting for people to give me. I said, givers don't gain. If you were just trying to get, you're not going to gain. Givers gain. So I told him, givers gain. You have to, the secret to living is giving. So it's not that networking doesn't work. It's that you don't work. You need to make many introductions in order for you to get them back. So I said, set a goal, make 5 introductions a month instead of a year. And you're going to see that you're going to start getting back a lot more. The people that give are the people that end up getting at the end of the day. And the people that are expecting, they end up just waiting and they end up being victims. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting enough. It's not working.
So let me ask you one question, and then we're coming up on that 30-minute mark, but I do have a question for people who are listening perhaps and have businesses or work in businesses that are B2C rather than B2B. There's still opportunity for them on LinkedIn. It's just, did you change the strategy a little bit when your audience is different in that way? How does that change things up?
It depends on the value of your client. Okay. So I'll give you an example. If the real question you need to be asking yourself, not am I B2B or B2C, but how do I get my best customers? If you get your best customers through referrals, LinkedIn is a really great platform to get referrals. If you get your best clients from people walking into a pharmacy, well, then you got to think about the B2B aspect of how you can get more pharmacies to carry your product, and you can use LinkedIn for that. But let's say, for example, you're a residential real estate agent. You're clearly B2C, right? No question about it. Or you're a life insurance broker and you deal with parents that just had kids. Or maybe you're a fitness instructor and you deal with CEOs that want to get in shape, or female CEOs that want to get in shape, whatever it is, right? That's your target market. Well, LinkedIn has a lot of female CEOs that want to get in shape. LinkedIn has a lot of homeowners. It has the most millionaires than any other platform. And LinkedIn has a lot of parents that need life insurance. So you can use LinkedIn to network and to build real meaningful relationships with people, even if you're B2C, but you have to have a high value product. If you're selling water bottles, LinkedIn might not be the best place for you to sell your water bottles because people are going to get annoyed. Imagine you got a DM from me and said, hey, Carrie, would you like to buy my water bottle? Or, hey, Rachel. Delete. That's the most annoying thing anybody can do. People hate, this is what people hate. People hate getting sold. Yeah. People hate getting sold. But you know what people love to do?
Buy.
People love to buy. People love to buy. People love to buy. They love to buy from who? From people that they know, from people that they trust, from people that they like. So
from Amazon.
From Amazon, from Walmart.
But they did a good job building trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Brand loyalty, brand trust. I know that if I buy something from Amazon and they say it's coming tomorrow, it's coming tomorrow. By hook or by crook, it'll be here tomorrow. Even if the driver has to pee in a bottle, it's coming tomorrow. And that's like a thing now, right? You know,
it is a thing. Yeah.
I mean, their labor ethics, I'm not sure on, but man, do they show up when they're delivering.
My point is that there are actions that you can take every single day. The 3 actions are you need more exposure, you need more credibility, and then you need to have conversations. And the key is to have those conversations. And we don't have time to cover this today, but conversations is about direct messaging. And most people don't know how to do it. We just told you how not to do it. Don't be selling. Don't be wasting people's time. Don't just say hi to somebody. Don't say, hey, you're pretty. Let's go out. That's not LinkedIn. That's Tinder. Yeah. What you want to do is you want to learn how to use LinkedIn direct messages effectively to have more conversations, but you do that using the right templates, the right scripts, the right methodology, the right strategy, and then you won't get rejection. Instead, you'll get an injection of new business.
I like it. No rejection, injection. I could go in a weird way with that, but I'm not going to.
Well, we go back.
The kids listening.
Stand down, Carrie. Okay. Joe, we're coming up on 30 minutes, but I would love for people to, obviously LinkedIn, they can find you, joe.linkedin. Give us all your
Joe
stats,
LinkedIn.
your deets, where we can find you.
Yeah. Really simple. If you want to find me, just connect with me on LinkedIn. Make sure that you leave a note when you send me a connection request, because I have over 1,000 people waiting to connect. So make sure that you leave a note. Let me know that you saw me on the show and that you want to connect with me on LinkedIn. This way I accept you and we can have a conversation. It's joelinkedin.com. If you want to learn more about our program, you can just go to learnbusinessnetworking.com, learnbusinessnetworking.com, and you can learn more about our program. Super affordable, super accessible. You can get in there. We have a coaching community. We have continuing education. We have hundreds of hours of workshops that we do live that you can join at any time. You get lifetime access. So
Nice.
join learnbusinessnetworking.com or check me out on LinkedIn at joelinkedin.com. And you can also find me on Amazon. We spoke about Amazon. If you search my name on Amazon, you can see the 4 books that I published.
Nice.
And you can grab them on Amazon and they'll come to you next day.
You are, and the driver may even pee in a bottle, but that's just a bonus.
Or you can even get them digital. You don't even have to make anybody deliver.
Right, you get the
it.
Kindle instantly,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no extra charge. Joe, you were amazing. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Love being here.
Absolutely. And to our audience, thank you for joining us for this episode of the Mavens of Marketing. We'll see you back here next week, same time, same place.
It's a teaser.
Coming up on the next episode of the Mavens of Marketing, we speak with one of my favorite people ever, Sunny Abada. She's a former newsie, like myself, a recovering one. But she talks about the power of storytelling when it comes to putting your personal brand out there. How do you know what that story is? How do you tell it? And how do you use it to market both your professional and your personal brand? It's coming up on the next episode of the Mavens of Marketing.